G'day, I'm Neil and my handle is Wiley11. I'm just going to put my disclaimer here. Whatever I do and say on these videos is well-intentioned and well-meaning advice. I accept no liabilities whatsoever for any disclosures. If you take some advice or act on something that I'm saying on these videos, you do so entirely at your own risk. I'm doing it based on my experience. These videos are my attempt to give back to YouTube for the help and assistance that YouTube has given me. So once again, you follow along or follow advice from these videos entirely at your own risk. Okay, and if you're not happy to do that, click this off and off you go. Because this is purely my attempt to give back to YouTube, as I said, for the help and advice that I have received out of YouTube. So this is just my little attempt to give back. If you're happy to follow along at your own risk, buckle up, sit in. Let's get into it. Good morning and welcome to Blink Like an Arduino. What we're doing is we're doing a beginner level tutorial for assembler programming to try to emulate the Arduino Blink example, which uses the watchdog timer. So it's the later version, not the earlier version. What you will notice with this is that I'm going to do a walkthrough. There are a lot of confusing bits of information about PICs. There are literally millions of examples out there, and this is yet another example, and I hope it doesn't confuse you. If it does, I apologize. This is me talking, and this is how I know how to do stuff, so that's all I can tell you about anything. Now, before we start, we're going to need a few things, and I'm going to swap over to the desktop and just show you what you're going to need, and we're going to go from there. What you need is this file here, this p12f675.inc. And where you will find it is in the C drive program files, and if you're using Windows 10, which is what I'm using, x86 microchip MPASM suite. Now the ASM stands for assembler. So because it's ASM, it's a good chance that that file is going to be the assembler version. There is another version of this file which is the C version. And if you get the C version, you will end up in a world of hurt. So do not get the C version of it. If you look here in this area under MPLabs, if you've installed the MPLab suite, I'm using version 8.92. Here it is, down here. So you can see there's my version number, version 8.92 MPLab IDE. And I downloaded that from the microchip site and installed it. That's straightforward install, nothing to be scared of. So when you install it, you will find in that suite, in the program files, this P12F675. You will need to get that file and copy it to your working directory. Now I've got my outreach Blink Like an Arduino set up already. So in here, I've done a flowchart. I've got the two data sheets, the data sheet for the 675, and I've got the Pickit user guide. Now we're going to start in this one, the user guide. And as you can see, it talks about the debugger. And I'm going to skip through all of this and I'm going to find the relevant page, because all I want is the wiring diagram for the circuit board to connect to the Pickit 3. So that's the Pickit with the microchip logo. I've actually got the clone version. I didn't intend to buy the clone, but the guy told me it was the real one, and when I got it, it was the clone one. So apologies to microchip, but I'm done now. Now here's your pin outs, and these are important. See, the pin 1 is highlighted by this arrow. And see here, this target board, well, you have to go out and build that. and they give you a very helpful connection diagram for the pins. Now we're just doing this here, right? So they're saying just hook it up to a straight through pin for your target board. They give you all sorts of helpful stuff, but basically there's your wiring diagram there, right? So you want pins 1, pin 2, pin 5, pin 4 and pin 3. So I don't know why there's a ground wire there on pin 3. I don't know why that's grounded. Alright, let's have another look. Oh, okay. Excuse me. That's their pins. Right, so that's their output pins. So pin 3 is their ground pin. Okay, that makes sense. So those pin assignment numbers there, they are out of the Pickit, not out of the chip. And we're programming the 12F675, so it makes sense that they won't tell you what the pin assignments are on the 12F675. They just want you to hook up to these pins. Okay. So that's that. Thank you for coming. I'm going to close that down. So that's the output side. Now we need the program, the board side. So in the 12F675 data sheet, I'll call your attention to the correct page for the pin assignments. Which I know there's a wiring diagram somewhere for them. It's the WDT. Hang on. Is it in page 2, is it? I'll go past it. Here it is. Right. So VSS, that's the ground pin. Ground 8, VDD, that was pin 2, goes to pin 1. The 10K resistor between, it's the same wiring anyway. It's a 675 here. You need a 10K resistor between those two pins, pin 1 and pin 4. Then you just need pins 5 and 6, I think, these two here. VREF, you need that pin. And I think you need pin 5. I think you need these two. It might be these two, but we'll go and have a look. Oh, excuse me. Here's your clock out here. You need pin 3. Oh, goodness me, I've confused everyone now. But anyway, we'll go have a look. So what I did, here's one I prepared earlier. I went and made one. I'm going to just stop this recording, switch cameras. So here's the one I've made. It's a bit, there's your father, but this was the only chip holder I had, so I used it. If you got the small one, use the small one, but that you put your chip in and you can lock it in like that. Okay, so pin 1. Pin 1 goes to pin 2. Yeah, so that's the red wire. It's going through pin 2. Pin 4, there's pin 4. It's going to pin 1 on this one. So this is pin 1 here. And I've got a 10K resistor between the two pins. Pin 3 is going to the ground, which is over this side. So that's the black wire on the board, that's pin 3. You can see it's going all the way up there. Now I'm using, that's pin 8. Sorry, on the ground pin on the chip is pin 8. So pin 7 is connected to pin 4 and pin 6 is connected to pin 5. So there's nothing on pin 5 on the chip. There's nothing on pins 2 and 3 on the chip. So there is a connection between these two here. There's a 10K resistor in between these two, the red and the orange. Okay, I hope I haven't confused you too much. Now I've added something here. You can see I've got a resistor in there. I'm tapping this line and I've put a little LED in there and put it back to ground. And the reason I wanted that is I just wanted to see that my board was communicating with the Pickit. So that's all that's doing, is it's just monitoring the data transmission line, and it should flicker when data goes backwards and forwards. Now, as it turns out, that is actually connected to GPIO1. So we can test our blink circuit in this board at the same time. So that should start blinking because it's connected to GPIO1. How cool is that? Not bad, eh? Rightio, so let's get into it. That is why you need both the data sheets. You need the outputs from the instruction set, and you need the inputs. So my programmer slides straight into the Pickit like that. Okay, so that's my programming board slotted straight into my Pickit, and I'm ready to rock and roll. All I need is a USB cable. Here's one, and I can plug it in. Now, if you haven't got the good Pickit, right, so if you've got the clone like this is the clone, and you plug that into the current drivers in Windows 10, you're going to get a massive errors on your driver. And the reason for that is that the real ones have an encrypted chip in them, and the driver looks for it. And if it doesn't find it, it gives you this nondescript vague error, which you will spend an inordinate amount of time searching. Millions and millions of people have solved it, and you will get lots of well-intentioned, well-meaning wrong advice. All that means is that the driver you're using is too new. You need to get the old versions of the driver going back to about, I think, 2007, maybe a bit earlier. The very first versions of the drivers for the Pickits will work with the clones. And the reason for that is these don't have the encrypted chips in them. So if you get the driver error, just keep going back through the archive till you find a driver that actually works with the clone. Now, it wasn't my intention to buy a clone. I bought this second hand from a bloke, and he led me to believe it was the real version. And I thought I was getting a good deal, and no, it wasn't the real version, it was the clone. So he ripped me off a little bit, but he's disappeared, he's gone. So I'm stuck with this, and I have to use it, and well, I am using it. I can tell you that little bit of information cost me hours of research and a complete rebuild of this PC, because one of the suggestions was that you get into the registry and start fiddling with the registry. So I fiddled with the registry and blew the computer. Could not recover it even from a backup registry. I had to rebuild it. There you go. So don't go fiddling in the registry. Don't go fiddling in device settings and system control panels and all. You don't need any of that. All you need to do is install the old driver. So in your device manager, just update the driver and make sure you got one from around 2007. You should be fine. Okay, so once you've got your board made and you pick it there and you're plugged in, and you've got your MPLab IDE installed, you are ready to start doing some programming. So the first thing we're going to need is a flowchart. Here's our flowchart here. You can see you're cheating a little bit. I've done two versions of this flowchart, but let's talk about what we're trying to achieve. Now, let me tell you that I'm hitting a known result. I've already got this thing working. Let me just open the camera real quick. Camera. I got it working. Here it is working. And that thing's blinking, as you can see. Like an Arduino. So it's a simple circuit. We've got our button cell holder coming down to our switch. We need this 10K resistor between pins 1 and 4. That's part and parcel of the wiring for the 12F675. This is pin 1 towards the battery. On this side, we've got our GPIO on pin 7 coming through a 10K resistor there to our LED, which goes back to our ground pin, which is on pin 8, back to the battery. Simple circuit. There is a wiring diagram for this. I will put it up for you. It's not currently available, but I will make it available so you can get the wiring diagram. But that's our test circuit. We've got our button cell going through a switch to the chip, out of the chip to the LED, back to ground. Nothing complicated about that at all. Should be able to make that. Now, if you've got the LED in backwards, it won't blink, right? And make sure you've got your LED in the right way around. Fat, I remember fat arse to ground. So there's a fat terminal and a thin terminal inside the glass. 9 times out of 10, it's fat arse to ground. Some of them are backwards. You know, they've got all sorts of funny ways of making these LEDs, but fat arse to ground's a good way to remember it. Okay. I've got a fat arse. Had a very fat arse for a long time. I got rid of some of it. But here you are. Here's my blinking result. So here's one I prepared earlier. You already know I've got code. I've already done my bits, and we're going to get to that step by step. So right now we're probably at a good place where we might be able to talk about this flowchart. So we've got to start. We've got to declare all our stuff and set it up. We've got to turn our LED on. We want to put the programmer to sleep. We want to turn it off, and we want to put the programmer to sleep. And that essentially that there is the Arduino blink. And if you look it up, I can't write. That is the flowchart for blink. Right there. Now, I've done this flowchart. This is what we want to hit. It's our end result, and that's not bad. That's an easy thing to hit. So I'm going to end this as part 1, and I'm going to start part 2. Righto, so we're going to end that as part 1. We've set up our system. We've downloaded our MPLab's IDE. We built our programmer. Here it is. Now Pickit. Now Pickit will hook into the system like so. You can see everything's happy. I get the nice happy beep out of the computer. And we're connected, and we've got everything installed. I've got no errors in the device manager. Everything's working just fine. Now, if you check your device manager at this point and you've got those little exclamation points across ports, it means that you've got the wrong driver. Go back in time, go backwards until you find one that works. That's all that means. Okay, I want to thank you for watching. I want you to support my company, Nightglow Manufacturing. It's .com, so it's nightglowmanufacturing.com. If you go there and support my product and my company, you'll be saving the planet, and you'll be supporting me so that I can keep delivering informational videos like this one, and maybe feed myself in the interim. If you're buying my product, it's the little NGEM. It's in fact a flashing light. I've made this as a product that I'm exporting and all over the world. So if you jump online, you jump onto my web store, nightglowmanufacturing.com. You can purchase the product online via your credit card or PayPal. What we're looking to do is change the way people look at the way they do things in the world. So we're an eco-manufacturer. We're not polluting the atmosphere with our process, and we are trying to recycle all of our inputs. So everything anyone sends to Nightglow Manufacturing, we look at ways we can reuse everything, including the packaging and everything else that we get. So, you know, there's all sorts of interesting things going on in our business model, and we're sharing that with the world. There's another channel called Nightglow Manufacturing, where anything to do with the company, we're actually recording it in the hopes that people will follow our example, put less pollution into the environment, and have consideration for the planet that we're all sharing. I'm getting on in years, and when I say that, I say it with tongue in cheek, because I've had some health issues, and I'm actually quite crook at the moment, but I'm plodding on, and I don't know how long I've got. And you know, the fact is that I'm doing these videos to give back. You know, I've got a lifetime of knowledge, 60 odd years pent up in there. Look at my hello videos if you want to know the story on all that. I went through it all. But I've had some challenges, and I've started this company up to try to give my family an ongoing income when I'm not here. And hopefully people will continue to support it when I'm gone. But I've done all sorts of things. I've written books, I've written songs, or, you know, poetry, you name it. My problem is that none of that stuff ever got past the front door of my house. You know, like all the books I ever wrote, I tried to get them published, and every so often I'll send it off to another publisher, and I get the same non-response of, you know, who are you, and we don't know you, and therefore we're not interested in you. If you're not known and you haven't got a way through, getting through is bloody horrible, and I just don't have the energy anymore to do it. So I'm doing this. I'm doing YouTube, and you know, if you want my books, let me know. You know, I might start self-publishing them and sending them out self-published and signed for you. You know, first edition prints, hand bound by me, you know, and signed and out the door. I don't know what I'd charge for, you know, $200 a copy. You know, it's got to be worth $200. It's a lot of work in doing that. All right, well, let me know if you feel like, just add your comments, criticisms, concerns, whatever, down the bottom. Support my company, Nightglow Manufacturing. That's really all I'd like you to do. Just go up there and buy something. There's one product at the moment. There might be 2 or 3 in the near future. Don't know. I'm working on some new inventions, all of which are energy efficient and will save the planet. Now you'll notice in this beginner's example, I've kept it basic. I've done all the planning and all the attachment and all that stuff to this point. So we've got ourselves a flowchart, we've got a connected device, we've got a built device. There are plenty of videos on building these things. You can go up and look at building these programmer boards. There's hundreds and hundreds of videos. So just go find one that works. I'm going to put a link across the thing, because the one that I used to get through some of these issues was actually quite informative. And I want to give that guy a shout out. I don't know who he is, but I'll put his link to his YouTube video up, and you can go there and have a look at that too, because I found it informative and easy to follow. So by all means, let's go there and look at that. But that's trivial to build. There's what, 4 wires and a couple of resistors, a couple of resistors and an LED, which if you put everything in the right way around in the LED and you don't short anything out, that just works. It's trivial. All right. Again, this is me saying, you know, thanks for watching. I want you to make good decisions, do good things, support my company, keep on swinging, and I'll see you for part 2.